In 2020, nearly 1 million students came to the US. But when asked in a survey as to how many of them would actually like to stay in the US post their graduation, nearly 73% said that they would like that, but only 41% were actually able to stay. And the reason for it? The dreaded H1B.
Amazon, Google, and IBM are among the top employers of H1B visa workers.
Temporary skilled employment visas, known as H1B visas.
H1B visa.
H1B visa.
H1B visa.
In my opinion, H1B visas are one of the most dysfunctional visas in this world. If you look at the number of people who have actually applied for an H1B visa, it has gone up quite a bit, so much so that it's nearly at 800,000 for this year. And you want to know how many actually got the visa? 85,000. And clearly, the visa acceptance rate has been on a decline in the past few years. So the number of people who are able to stay in the US after their graduation from an American university is a staggeringly low number. So in this video, I have decided to dig a little deeper in this H1B visa scheme. I want to figure out how it really works. I'm very sorry to say, but your process doesn't really end there. Why is it so ill-reputed? You literally have to wait for over a century. What are its impact on the students and the US economy? That hiring more H1B visas generates more employment for the Native Americans. And finally, why I declined a career opportunity in the US 7 years ago and why I would probably still do it even today. So if you're flying to the US soon, put on your seatbelts and let's figure this out. Okay, I think firstly I need to explain what is an H1B visa in the first place. The H1B visa is a non-immigrant visa that allows US companies to hire foreign talent. Now, these talents are usually highly skilled workers, mostly in the field of STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It's a very popular kind of visa for international graduates because it allows, or rather gives them a pathway for a job in the US after their education. But in the past few years, this visa has absolutely soared in popularity. Last year alone, nearly 800,000 applications were filed. But like I said before, not all of them were granted. In fact, what makes this visa extremely dysfunctional is the fact that it only allows a certain number of visas every single year, regardless of how many applications were there. And apart from the late 90s and early 2000s, it's been granting a very consistent number of visas, which is about 65,000 plus 20,000 for recent graduates. So in total, we have about 85,000 visas granted every single year. And when you superimpose just how many applications have come into place, well, the gap is quite staggering. But this number is a bit dysfunctional. So let's clean up the data a little bit. Because in the past few years, if you look at the actual number of visas granted, it's more than 85,000 by a very comfortable margin, but still bottlenecking at about 30%. So year by year, even though the applications are changing, the number of visa applications that are granted is still about 30%. Now you must be thinking, how is this visa granted? What's the magical process? It's a lottery. You have a 30% chance of working a job purely based on luck, no merit involved. For the life of me, cannot understand why that system actually exists. Now, let's say you are the one in every 3% who gets the H1B lottery. I'm very sorry to say, but your process doesn't really end there. Now, your employer must file a labor commission application with the Department of Labor to ensure that hiring a foreign worker is not going to impact the US economy and its working conditions. They also have to specify that nobody in the US is as good as you are for the job that you're doing in order for you to be granted a visa. Now, whenever during a visa process, a bureaucrat has to decide whether this guy is eligible or worthy enough for this job, it's not a very robust system at all. So after this labor condition application, the employer has to then file for an H1B petition with the United States Citizen and Immigration Services. And then the waiting game starts because these visas take a long time to get through. So patience will be your best friend. Now, once you get the H1B visa, you'll typically get it for 3 years with an extension period for nearly 6 years. It still has quite a few cumbersome problems. For example, if you change your jobs, you have to file a new H1B petition, and then again that introduces a risk of discretion by some bureaucrat again. So now, like most expats, you might be thinking that what's the permanent solution for this? Well, I have so much more bad news for you then. If you thought the H1B system was insane, wait till you figure out what they do for a green card. In fact, actually not what they do, just how long does it take to get a green card. Let's say with proper eligibility criteria met, you can can apply for a green card. But the green card application again has a certain cap. It says that for any given country, only a certain number of green cards can be provided. So if you are from a very populous country like India, like China, where a lot of the expats are in the US, I can't even believe I'm saying this, but it will take you 134 years to get a green card, to get a permanent residence in a country. You literally have to wait for over a century. This is madness, man. What the fuck is happening? How is anybody looking at this number and thinking, this is a great system, we should keep continuing this? What is happening over here? Imagine deciding to move to a place with better opportunities, with better education, uprooting your life for the past 20, 30 years, going away, leaving all your family and friends behind, setting up a new life in an alien condition, trying to get good grades, trying to just keep yourself alive, and at the end of those college years, trying to get a job. And once you get a job, you realize that you can only work that job if you're firstly lucky enough. And then even if you are lucky enough and you're good at your job, you've been doing it for so many years now, it will take you nearly a century to be able to have the peace of mind of being a permanent resident in a country that you've served. I can't see anyone justifying that system as a robust system for managing international high-skilled immigrants. But why is this such a big deal? Well, for the immigrants, it's quite obvious. There's so much at stake. But I want to talk about from the perspective of a Native American and how immigration of highly skilled workers affects them as well. Firstly, let's talk about innovation. The contribution of a highly skilled immigrant towards innovation in the US is very significant. According to a study by the National Bureau of Economic Research, highly skilled immigrants are extremely crucial for innovation. In fact, even though they make up only 14% of the entire population of the workforce, they contribute for about 36% of the total US innovation. Now, this number is measured by how many patents were actually filed in the US and how many of them were actually filed by high-skilled immigrants. And you know what directly correlates with innovation? It's the economy. There have been a lot of studies done on how the H1B visa program is impacting the US economy. In fact, this study highlights the unintended consequences of restrictions on the H1B visa and debunks a lot of the myths associated with it. For example, does limiting the number of H1B visas affect American workers? And the answer is yes, but not in the way that you think. With more immigrants coming through in a company through H1B, the more job opportunities are created for the Native Americans. It might seem weird and counterintuitive, but it is absolutely not, and there's good reason for it. Bill Gates was quoted saying that for every H1B visa that he hires, he needs to hire an additional 4 people, assist them in various capacities. Now, the ratio might not be the same for every single company, but it is very well documented that hiring more H1B visas generates more employment for the Native Americans. There is no displacement of workers. In fact, they complement each other. But creating more job opportunities is not the only impact that H1B visas have. In fact, what do you think happens when a company could not find a highly skilled worker for a specific job? More specifically, they start looking offshore. A lot of these companies like Microsoft, those multinational companies, they have offshore sites as well. And if they can't find a place in the US, they will very happily find somebody offshore. And how does that affect the US economy? I'm pretty sure it doesn't really help it. High skilled immigrant workers don't take your jobs. They help you get more jobs. It's very well documented in every single study that you can find about it. Your economy is better off with better workers. It's as simple as that. Now, you might be thinking it's probably just Microsoft and Apple who can afford offshore talent. That is not the case, because the impact of restrictions on H1B visa also affects small businesses. The study suggests that approximately 70% of startups do not hire an American instead of a foreign employee. In fact, they look out for overseas contractors and remotely hire talent at a relatively low wage. So making the visa system more restrictive and more costly for these startups doesn't really influence their decision of hiring more Americans. At this point, it has become a bit of a moot point. I cannot understand how the system in its current place is still in existence. It has adverse effects on the US economy, adverse effects on the US employment rate, and it overall depletes the innovation sector as well. And it's completely based on luck, which is but thankfully, there is a growing consensus that this system needs to be reformed. The Biden administration did propose a few reforms to this policy. A few of them have come into effect. One of the most significant ones is the fact that they have somehow managed to tackle the number of authentic applications in the H1B system. Unfortunately, when the system is so heavily based on luck, people will try and game the system, more often than not purely out of desperation. But that still doesn't justify these fake applications. So the Biden administration has figured out a way to qualify what is an eligible application, and that has reduced the number of applications per year. Unfortunately, the bottleneck of the 85,000 still persists, but thankfully this number does change quite a bit. So credit where it's due, there is some reform in place. But the study from earlier also suggests that this might not be enough. And in fact, the US might need to reform the entire structure of H1B altogether and bring it closer to what Canada and UK have, which is a point-based merit system. So if you're very highly qualified, let's say you have a PhD, you score highly on the point-based system and can be more eligible for a visa. This seems a lot fairer than just being a random name in a pot of luck. You control your destiny in a far better way. Albeit, even if the system comes into place, it's going to take a while before it comes into effect. So as a new immigrant into the US, what can you do specifically to prepare yourself for this situation? Well, I fortunately have quite a lot of friends and family in the US who have been through this process, some successfully, some not so much. And through their experiences, I have compiled a list of strategies that can prepare you better for the situation. The first thing that you need to understand is getting a visa is a very bureaucratic process. It's very slow, it takes a lot of time, and it can have a lot of delays. So the earlier that you start, the earlier that you can prepare yourself for this thing, the better you'll be placed. So I would suggest before graduation, try and figure out your H1B situation. Get yourself familiar with the application, get yourself familiar with what companies can do for you, and be very prepared for the application period. Secondly, you can understand what are the other visa options that you can apply for. So visa options like the O1 visa for extraordinary individuals or something like the EB5 visa is something that you can look into as well. Broaden your options, don't just rely on the H1B process. Another program that a lot of US graduates leverage is the OPT program, or the Optional Practical Training Program, which grants you a right to stay and work in the US for the next 12 months, and if you're in STEM, for the next 24 months. Use this time to get some experience, use this time to get some networking, and use this time to save some money. Like I said, getting a visa is a bureaucratic, slow process. It can also be a very expensive one as well. And the last strategy that I will propose is to look for options other than the US. A lot of immigrants that come to the US for education and end up not getting a job do immigrate to other countries. In the recent times, especially Australia and Canada. And those countries can present equally great opportunities. 7 years ago, I was in the exact same position that you are right now. I was boarding a flight to a place wherein I knew nobody, where nobody looked like me. And I just went there because I thought that I had a better opportunity of learning something. A better opportunity of fulfilling a life that I want. I made applications in about 8 countries, and most of them were in Europe. I made a couple of applications in the US as well, and even though I got a positive response, I decided that it is probably not the right place for me. See, in my opinion, the ability to earn money is a great asset. And when you go to the US, it gives you that opportunity in abundance. My salary, and in fact my ability to increase my salary, is much lower compared to my US friends. But in the 7 years that I've been here in Europe, I've been able to get a permanent residence, and it gives me an immense peace of mind that as long as I'm a law-abiding citizen of this place, I will have a long-term future in an economy that I have invested in. If you are a high-skilled worker and still watching this, you are one of the greatest assets to an economy that they can be. In fact, not just to the economy, but to the entire country of residence. Between the years 2010 and 2019, 8 US companies hired about 3,310 chemists, scientists, biophysicists, and ultimately, do you know what they contributed towards? One of the greatest modern marvels of the COVID vaccine. So you, as a high-skilled immigrant, have a very deep responsibility for the country that you're residing in. You have the ability to make it better, and you have every right to fight to stay where you are. I would just certainly like to remind the fact that talent is rare, and perhaps the best investment that you can make for your economy is figuring out a system that attracts high-skilled human capital. People are here to help you and your economy, not to uproot them. And I hope with the elections and reforms around the corner, the new policies are able to bring justice to these people who left everything to serve the talents in the land of the free. Thank you so much for watching this video. I am very aware that this became more of an opinion piece rather than my usual data-driven presentation, but this is a topic which is a little too close to me for me to remain unbiased on this. But that is the reason why I still presented as much data as I could, and I have linked all of those down below in the description so that you can go ahead and educate yourself on this topic as well. And if you've watched this until the end and found this useful enough, please do share this with everybody else who you think can benefit from this. In fact, if you don't want to share my videos and just want to share the resources, that's okay as well. But the idea is to create more awareness about what the system is and how it affects you as a future or a current highly skilled immigrant in the US. So I think I'm a little done with the serious topics for the time being, and I think I should probably go back to my regular, not so serious broadcasting in the future videos. I really miss making those sponsor segments. That was quite fun. Yeah, we'll get back to that. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next few days.